past haunts us all. Whether it be a person, place, or thing, we are reluctant to let go. We call to the dead out of desperation and intrigue, searching for answers about what lies behind the shadows. We are paranormal researchers. We are Necromancers. Hello, and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I'm your host, Justin Brown, and welcome to episode 52 with Joe Vitale. Okay, before we bring him on and let you guys learn all about him, we are going to say, what's up to the girls? What's going on?
Hi.
How are you, Missy?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm better. I took a nap today, and it helped. I must have had this crazy, sleep deficit going on. So, how's Jess?
I am good. Great.
You're good? Great?
Yeah.
All right, good. So we can get the show started. We can get it rolling, right?
Let's do it.
All right. All right, guys. This show is going. I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit different. Joe has informed me that he wants to spice things up on episode 52, so hopefully that happens. Okay. Joe has been an investigator for the last 4 years, hardcore. Okay. He has been traveling all around Haunted America. Okay, especially the Midwest area, doing film production and helping with editing, camera work, all kinds of stuff. And he has recently started on a independent project called JV Truth Paranormal Productions. Okay, so what we're going to learn, I always want to know how people get into the field, what their origins are, but this may get a little bit behind the scenes of the life of an investigator. I think I know what he may touch on. Okay, so without further ado, we'll bring Joe over. What's up, Joe?
It's going. How are you guys?
I'm doing okay today. Dude, I've been so busy, and I know you have been busy too. I mean, this year has been a fuck ton of work, excitement, ups and downs, and hopefully we'll get to hear a little bit about your ups and downs and the in and outs of your life in the paranormal. You're originally from Michigan, right? But you're not living in Michigan now.
No.
Okay.
Born and raised in Michigan, moved south in 2003 to a little town called St. Paul, Virginia. It was, from there, 2006, moved to Bristol, Tennessee. And 2012, I believe it was, back to Michigan, 2014, back to Tennessee for a reason.
For reasons.
So, yep.
All right. Well, that's pretty crazy to have to move around that much. And I'm sorry about that, but it looks like you're built for it. So if you guys have any questions, he sighs when I say that. If you have any questions for Joe through the course of this show, please put them down in the comments. The girls will read them. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, don't matter. Talk amongst yourselves. Just interact. We'll shout you out during the show when we get back to you guys. But before we do that, we're going to ask Joe why in the hell he investigates the paranormal. Has he had his own experiences that, led him on a path to trying to figure out more, or what the reason is? So, Joe, would you care to enlighten us about why you do what you do?
So I grew up in a home that had some pretty, I'm going to go ahead and just say severe activity. I won't say demonic, but I will say pretty severe. And it scared the hell out of me. I wanted nothing to do with the paranormal. And what happened was we ended up apparently getting rid of the worst of it. They had somebody come in. They actually had to come in a couple of times to get rid of it. But it scared the hell out of me. Now, I grew up in a very strict Christian family, mainly my grandmother. So everything was the devil. Everything was evil. There were no ghosts. It was all demons. So that was a part of me. That's what I believed. So at the age of, I was 14 years old, I believe, and a buddy of mine. Uh, we went to Denny's. That's where the local kids like to hang out and act like adults and drink coffee. And he was kind of teasing me about the house. And behind me was a group of paranormal investigators. I didn't know that. He got up, left, and one of the guys got up and started questioning me about it. And I'm like, who the hell are you? Why are you asking me these questions? You know, this guy, he's in his late 20s. I'm just a 14-year-old kid. And he wanted me to talk more about it, but I didn't want to. I was getting made fun of by my buddy, and I didn't want any more of that. So he kept kind of pushing, and then he's like, "Hey, look, maybe what we could do is we could take you to a place where we think it's safe. When we investigate, and, you can talk to us there. It'll be a safe spot." Wasn't up for it. It was really strange. So after that, at that point in time, you heard about a lot of kids being kidnapped and all these crazy things. So, it was bizarre for me. Having somebody come up to me like that and talk to me about that type of situation. So about 2 weeks later, I was with my dad. We were at a gas station, and there he was again. His name is Bill. And he said, "Hey, look, the offer's still on the table. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to, ridicule you or anything like that." So I thought, okay, fine. I'll go ahead. Gave him my phone number. I thought I'd never hear from him again. Here I am, a 14-year-old kid, that weekend, with a bunch of people who were much older than me, in somebody's home, talking about what was going on in the house that we had lived in. And I went again, and then again, and it just went from there. Eventually, I just became part of the team. So I've been at it for 24 years. 18 years of that has been spent doing private or personal investigations. The past 4 years have been vastly different. Now I'm going to bigger places, traveling all over the place. It's been a hell of a ride. It's very unique, and it has given me a different perspective on the paranormal, doing something completely different, and going to places like the Mineral House, Waverly Hills, Hales Bar Dam, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. I mean, it's been a learning experience. I'm always learning something when I'm out there. I'm always meeting new people, working with new people who investigate very different than I do. But it's been amazing.
So based on your story leading into how you got into the paranormal research, field research part of it, it's almost like you were it's not like peer pressure, but they kind of wanted you to face your fear, and you initially went in doing that, right?
You're right, absolutely. They had told me, it is not what you think. It is not all demons and devils and Satan. It's not what you think. So I was very nervous the first time I went to somebody else's house, and they were investigating. I was just there talking to the lead investigators, and I was nervous, but nothing happened. It was quiet that night, and it continued. Every place that I had went with them, it continued to be quiet up until about 3 or 4 months into me being with them. And that scared the hell out of me too. I honestly wanted nothing to do with anything like that. I was terrified of it.
Right.
I didn't understand it.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, before we get into some questions, and hopefully we get some from the chat, Jessica and Missy, do you want to start shouting some people out and getting into some of their comments?
Diana's on, Landon's on, Douglas, Bailey, the Nets, Southern Angels, Paranormal's on, Josh Bender, Deity Paranormal, and that's it. Oh, and Truth Paranormal just said hi.
Who's that?
I was like, oh wait, somebody else. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's
who the hell's Truth Paranormal?
he's some jerk.
All right. And no questions yet, right? They're just talking amongst themselves, saying okay.
Yeah, they're just saying hello. Okay.
All right, Missy, do you want to shout out Facebook?
Sure. I got RJ, I've got Derek, I've got Tally,
Hmm.
I've got Jamie Hunt, I've got Daniel Everson. Um, Derek keeps freaking talking. He's in my way. She said you were watching. Josh was watching. Christy's watching. David Dean is watching. And that's about Timothy's watching and Pearl's watching.
All right. No questions so far, right?
Nope.
I did
Okay,
see.
I just have one.
I know, but I did see Brendan Shea.
Okay.
I don't know if he's still watching, but I shouted him out. But I do see what Diana asked, so we'll
Yeah.
make that our first question.
Okay. The intro to the question says, "Wow, I would be really freaked out if somebody came up to my teenager son and asking him to come out to go out and go with them." How did your parents feel about that?
Honestly, I told them anytime I went out with them, I was spending the night at a friend's house. They had no idea. I kept that quiet.
Nice.
They eventually found out, and my grandmother, she flipped. "You're playing with the devil," is what she said. "You're playing with the devil." I went anyways.
Yeah. I can only imagine how that would go over, and I don't blame you one bit for not telling them because, like you said, they're not going to approve at all.
No, they. My grandmother was very hardcore in her belief system, and at every turn, do you know what the Lord said? Do you know what it says in the Bible? You know, she's passed away now. She passed away last year, but you know, it was always, "Uh-oh, Danny's calling. We're going to church."
Right. The Bible says a lot of things that a lot of people don't preach about in church. If you actually read it, about John the Baptist being reincarnated, about the witch and Endor like summoning the spirit of Samuel to Saul. All kinds of stuff happens in the
Right,
Bible that's paranormal or that relates to some part of the spiritual realm, but they don't preach about it. That's what happened to the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Enoch and the Book of Giants and all that stuff. They're just like, nope, that's not going in. Nope, we're not talking about that. So that's another subject. We won't get into that.
right.
But
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Do it.
Buzzard asked, he's on, and Michelle is on, and Scotty Fox is on. But he asked, what was the freakiest thing that you've seen when you were as a child?
Probably the freakiest thing at that time was either a shadow person at the foot of my bed, or it had looked like our bedroom was on fire, and when it wasn't.
What?
I am not kidding. Um, Me and my stepbrother, my dad had put us in the basement, built a room in the basement, and we had a lot of crazy things going on in that house. My family can vouch for that as well. Um, it literally looked like one part of our room. It was what you would call, I guess, like the playroom area of our bedroom, and it literally looked like it was on fire. There's no windows in our bedroom. You can't. You turn the lights off. It's like the darkest place in the world. So we were able to actually see without hitting anything. Like we could see the room, and we got out of there thinking that the bedroom was on fire. So my parents come down there, and they nothing had happened. We could actually smell smoke, but there was no indication of fire or anything like that.
But there was a bunch of light playing,
Yeah.
like there was fire.
Right, yeah. I hate telling that story because it's bizarre.
Dude, I'm telling you what. I hear so many things on this show, and they all say the same thing because they're used to being, people looking at them like they're just making it up, they're lying. But dude, the craziest shit happens to people, especially when they're young. Okay, this stuff rarely happens to people our age, if you've noticed.
Right.
So what do you think that is?
I don't know. I think because we're young, we're more open to certain things. I mean, there's no telling. I know I worked with a child who had disabilities, and they were, the child was having all kinds of crazy experiences, whereas everybody in the house, they weren't experiencing anything like this child. They were experiencing some things, but it was like this child was experiencing the bulk of the activity for some reason. And I honestly believe it's just that we're more open and more susceptible at a younger age.
Yeah, it definitely seems to me that the conscious state that you're in plays a key role. A lot of people, when they grow older, their perception of what's around them becomes somewhat conditioned, somewhat guarded. People, hammer in, ghosts aren't real, monsters aren't real, this isn't real, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And it starts to narrow and shape how you perceive lots of things. And the many different states of consciousness, ranging from sleep, subconscious levels, all the way to what we perceive when we're awake, isn't really taught as something to be aware of when it comes to actually receiving in, that type of stuff and, incorporating it with our consciousness as a whole. So I think we've kind of dropped the ball as a culture right now. A lot of Eastern cultures and a lot of other older cultures that delved into that stuff are just swept away and not a part of our culture right now.
Right. You know, a child's brain, specifically a male child's brain, doesn't fully develop until they're about 25 years old. A female brain doesn't fully develop until she's actually 16 years old. If you do some research, you will find that right around, for a female, once a female actually hits 16, all of a sudden her experiences with anything paranormal starts to decline. There are those other factors as well. A place that they move to that may be haunted or whatever. With men, and it's sort of, to a certain extent, answers a little bit of the question: is why are there more men in the paranormal? Why are men more dominating in the paranormal? And I don't mean that in a bad way. Especially men in their 20s or even younger, is because a lot of it has to do with they're having more experiences with it for a longer amount of time. I don't think I'm really explaining it very well. I seen a question in there that kind of took my mind
We'll get
elsewhere,
to him. Just ignore that.
Right.
We'll get to him.
But there has been a little bit of study done on it. I want to see more research on it. I find it very interesting how our minds develop and experiencing paranormal as a
Absolutely.
mind develops.
Parapsychology is definitely something we need to really focus in on. Before we get to the questions, I did want to add that I find it fascinating that poltergeist activity is tied to, females who are going through puberty. Of course, the Edenfield poltergeist was one thing that they tried to, explain, why they were getting activities, because, the girls were in the preteens and going through that. And I would like to see a lot more supporting evidence of that. And there is some type of connections. We just need more research, more funding.
Right. I believe that women are tied closer to paranormal than us guys. But a lot of the poltergeist stuff too is you find that these girls, they're going through puberty and such. They're also having a hard time in school. They're trying to fit in, and that I honestly believe plays a really big part in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, Jess, do you want to catch up with these questions for Joe before they get?
Sure. I think there's 3. Joe, were you doing a documentary on Hales Bar Dam? And if so, is it out yet?
We're still working on it. We had some setbacks. We were supposed to have a woman who knew everything about the dam on the documentary. She now refuses to do it because it has something to do with ghosts. She honestly believes it's just birds, so she wanted nothing to do with it. But I do have a book with everything about Hell's Bar Dam, all the deaths, the names. Oh my lord! The book is like over 300 pages of articles and pictures and so on. We are actually going back December 1st. We're going to do another investigation there. We're going to go ahead ourselves and do the history, finish it up. It's looking probably early next year that it will be out on Amazon Prime and hopefully another streaming service. I don't want Amazon Prime to be the one route we go. I do have other things in the work that will be a lot easier to handle. Hell's Bar Dam has just been a very complicated documentary to do because of its history and what's been going on there.
Okay. Diana asks, what did your family say about all that went on? Did they have reasonings behind the devil was doing stuff while you were there?
They didn't necessarily blame the devil himself. They believed that there was something demonic there. It was. I'm going to roll back a little bit. I'll try to make a long story short here. We had an uncle who was mentally ill. He was adopted, and he got into some dark stuff. And I'm only telling you what I was told growing up. And he invited something in. My grandparents actually had that house built. Nobody died in the house. My grandparents moved away. My aunt and my uncle bought the house. My uncle, who was adopted, stayed behind with the other aunt and uncle. And they were experiencing some weird things. And my Uncle Joe, he's very outgoing. So when he says, hey, there's weird stuff going on in the house and stuff like that, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, Uncle Joe, everything was so dramatic with him. So we move in, and now we're experiencing stuff. My dad had woken up. This may have been a case of sleep paralysis. I have very bad sleep paralysis myself, but they said that he had woke up, but he was being pinned down on his bed, being choked, and he couldn't do anything about it. Well, I do remember this because this was when they were like, enough is enough. But my dad's neck was red, and it looked like he had these weird bite marks in his wrists. And we were sneaking into the conversation as kids, listening to what they were talking about. And, that's what they talked about. That's what I was told. They did have somebody come in a couple of times to bless the house, get rid of it. I was told, I wasn't there for this, but I was told there were a lot of things that did happen while it was being planned, stuff like that. So we had a lot of really weird and aggressive things that had happened to us in the house. Now, was it demonic? I don't know. Since that time, my views have changed. I didn't know any better at that point in time. I was just a kid. So, usually you listen to your parents know what's going on, and that was that.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you don't have a support, group or people supporting that type of thing, you could come to them and talk to them about it. It makes it really, really hard. And I think that there needs to be a paranormal community for younger, obviously it can't be for super young kids, but maybe 10, 12, 13 years old if they have access to the internet, maybe not social media, but some website they can go to reach out. I don't know. It just seems like there is a hiatus or like a limbo where you may not have any support for that type of thing. And it could be rough. There could be a rough stretch. So any more questions for YouTube?
Yes. Buzzard asked if you ever played with the Ouija board as a child.
Of course. But not in the house that had all the crazy activity going on.
Sure. Light Ghost just asked, what was the best part of your paranormal career so far?
I love that question, and I love giving this answer.
I can tell by the look on your face. You're like, ah.
It is meeting people. I love meeting new people. Just seeing how other people investigate their thoughts, just all around it. It really and truly is meeting people. And you can't beat that. Yeah, I mean, I know with the position that I'm in, and there are some people who are kind of figuring out that, I am connected, and it's just the best part is the people. I absolutely do. I love meeting the people out there who's doing the paranormal.
I agree, man. Last weekend was so much fun meeting Alex and Eric, Mothman Historian. Just, the Mothman Historian stopped me in the street in the middle of Point Pleasant and said, "Hey, are you Justin Brown with Interface Death?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I watch your channel sometimes. Can I get a picture?" I'm like, "Whoa." And then you go investigate the bunkers with them later. You meet up with people you've known for a few years, but you just haven't had that, real connection with them. And when you do, you meet these people. It doesn't matter if you agree with their methodology. It doesn't matter if you investigate differently. It's about how we connect and, establish some type of friendship with the person. Like, that's the most important thing. And I think that you realize that. And that's what's important to you too. Is that right?
Right. To make that connection and learn from one another, you can't beat that. And just like with, you talked about meeting up with Eric and Alex. I met up with them, JP, Sean, at Health Bar Dam, and it was an amazing experience. It was absolutely one of my most favorite moments, being able to do that with those guys. And yeah, I have from time to time been stopped because people recognize me and they want a picture, and it's so bizarre. And I honestly, I feel like an asshole, to be honest. It's so weird. It's a very weird feeling.
Mm-hmm. It's awkward. To accept that someone actually, looks up to you in that way makes you feel awkward, because you kind of like, you don't want to give someone else who may be, observed from that type of angle, the something that you don't want to deserve. So you want to be deserving of it. So it might be an insecurity thing a little bit.
It is.
So, but when you look in the mirror and you look at your work and people reassure you that, you do good work and they do like you, and it's probably because you're just a good person overall. And that's why.
I try. I honestly do try to be the best. I am not perfect. My anxiety and some of my other things going on, in my life, they can cause me a little bit of trouble. I hate being in front of a camera. Right now, I feel like I'm in a hot box.
It's pretty hot over there.
Oh yeah, I feel like I'm in a hot box. But it's an anxiety thing, and that's another thing that I have to deal with in the paranormal, and then having something to do with the show or other projects that I do. I try to keep myself down to earth as much as possible. I try to be open as much as I can to people, but at the same time, I put up my walls. And when people figure out my connections or what I do, all of a sudden they want to come to me and befriend me because they believe that they can to gain off of me. And I'm a nobody in the field. I know I have a lot of friends who are in the entertainment business and such, but I'm still a nobody. And it makes me feel very worthless when somebody decides to be my friend only because of the connections or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I understand. Before we continue, I want to shift gears, but before we do that, Wake Paranormal TV said Joe in the house, so he just joined us on YouTube. Missy, why don't you scroll through and try to get some of the questions I assume we haven't addressed yet for Joe on Facebook.
Tina wanted to know if he works with empaths or sensitives.
I do, yes. In fact, I first met one who's very powerful and definitely scares the hell out of me at Post Town. She is a amazing person. She is she's going to be a hell of an investigator once she really gets a whole lot of experiences with other things that involve the paranormal. I've never ever been terrified of an empath before in my life until recently.
Why are you so terrified?
You know, a lot of people say that they're an empath, and I do believe it. This particular woman has proven it, and it has absolutely scared the hell out of me.
Because the phenomena is being validated to you.
Right. You know, I'm very skeptical on psychics and empaths and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who claim that they are empathic, but they have an anxiety issues. And when you have anxiety issues, you are going to pick up vibes from other people. You are going to pick up on what's going on in the atmosphere around you. I have anxiety, and those are things that I pick up on. But I'm not empathic. I am not a psychic. There's nothing special about me, to be honest. I'm just an investigator. With this particular person, she is more than an empath, and I don't want to go too much into it, but it scares the hell out of me.
I think I know why. Jessica made it aware to me that her anxiety from people who can pick up stuff, she doesn't want them to know certain things and see them, see you for, your dark secrets or something that you try to guard yourself from. Can you relate to that, or is it different?
The only thing that I honestly guard is my heart. In the past, I have been burned a couple times, and I do guard my heart, but I'm pretty open. Anybody who knows me personally, who talks to me on a day-to-day basis, I tell them everything.
Right on. Yeah, I get that from you, Joe. I think that you're one of the most open people. You just let it out. So there's no mystery. There's you want somebody to get what they see what they get, type of thing. So you see what you get. So Missy, I don't want to leave Facebook hanging. Is there anything else? I know I seen a lot of comments there a few minutes back. I know Derek asked about Hell's Bar Dam, and he asked if you owned it, and I know Joe doesn't own it. He's just a staff member, and he's been investigating there for the last 2 or 3 months, pretty heavy, right?
Yeah, I don't own it actually. The guy who actually owns the entire marina, he owns Hell's Bar Dam, but he leases it. He puts it out as a lease, and Jeff and Vicky Holder, they're the ones who run that part of the marina, Hell's Bar Dam. They do the ghost tours and ghost hunts there.
Go ahead and read Daniel's question there, Missy.
I don't see Daniel's question.
Oh, you don't? He says,
No.
Have you ever... Say it. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. You read it. I will see it.
Have you ever had any investigations here in northern Michigan as well as the lighthouses?
I've had a couple in northern Michigan. They were private, so I can't really get into too much of those. Lighthouses, no. I've been to Eloise. I have been on, I can't remember the name of the battleship that's there. And Southeast Michigan. I've done I spent most of my time in the paranormal investigating places in Southeast Michigan, specifically Wyandotte. I don't know why. Wyandottes a hot spot for paranormal activity. And
Think it's
there was
Indian related?
It is, yes. It's right off. It's right off the water, the Lake Erie. There have been a lot of UFO sightings and a lot of other strange things that actually happen there. Wyandotte is a unique city, but there is a lot of Indian. It was I can't remember when, but there were Indians that come from even Canada over to our side who settled there and then run off, and they had to go back to Canada. They even have a couple of cemeteries that are specifically for the Native Americans, and it's a very interesting city, that's for sure.
All right, before we throw some Cajun seasoning on this live stream, do you think that regionally places are different when it comes to the amount of activity that's reported and that you investigate and observe? You know, is it more so in Michigan? Is it more so in Tennessee? Is it the same? Real quick, what do you think about that?
I honestly believe that it depends. Hellsbar Dam, example, is very active. It's on a river, a heavy flowing river at that, on shale and limestone. It's one of the reasons why it was shut down, and they had issues with it. During the winter, it's extremely active. Michigan, there are places like by Lake Erie or by, we'll even say some rivers that are active. I honestly believe it just comes down to location and what is underneath all the dirt. What's going on with the minerals and stuff like that. I can't remember what was Waverly Hills built on. I tell you, I've been to Waverly Hills and it's a wonderful place, but I've never had luck.
You've never had luck? Is that what you said?
Exactly, yeah. I've never gotten anything.
It's one of the most difficult places to investigate because of all the contamination that's there. You have to bring in a pretty, maybe a larger group than you would necessarily want to because it's so expensive. You have to share the cost, unless you're lucky. It's extremely difficult because you have 8 hours, to do everything in, and it's so huge. It's just difficult, Joe. You just have to go back there a bunch, man.
I mean, there are places that I have gone to where people will say it was super active, and I go there and I get nothing, and I continue to go back there and I get nothing, and then one day, boom, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. I've been there many, many times, and just this one, the last time I was there, I didn't get anything but a growl. It was just not active. And I believe there's just so much at play.
Right.
That just makes that makes certain like the conditions right.
Diana likes to say it's like a recipe to a cake. If you're missing certain key ingredients, you don't have the delicious cake.
Right. And it seems like I said, Hellsbar Dam seems to be a whole lot more active during the winter than any other time of the year. And that's like that with a couple of other places I've noticed. And then in the summer, the places that just don't seem to be very active, they come alive in the summer. I don't know why that is. I have no theory as to really why, other than just the right conditions for that specific place.
We definitely need to know more.
Right.
Before we shift gears here, Jess, did you want to, Missy? I know you guys got questions. The chat is pretty active tonight.
Yes. I have a couple. Derek wants to know how Joe became parafamous.
Oh, God. Any serious questions?
No.
That's a facepalm, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on.
Okay, Landon wants to know, who are some of your mentors, and have they helped you get where you're at right now?
I learned a lot from the very first team that I was with, Jeff and Linda Mead. They're no longer around. When I got with that team, they were in their 50s, and they taught me a lot. And it wasn't that they just taught me a lot on just how to investigate, but how to be a human being to people who are having these issues. You don't just treat them like, they're at a doctor's office. You don't just stick a piece of paper in front of them and tell them, here, check all this off, and we'll go from there. Um, they always believed there is no set of specific questions. I mean, of course, there are going to be specific questions that need to be asked, but they let the people that they help lead the questions, because, and I do this, and I've gotten pretty good with it. I'm actually really good with it. You may not even know what I'm doing. Um, they let the client, I guess you would say, and I hate using that word, they let them lead the questions. At some point, they're going to be really open. They're going to get really honest. I have also learned when somebody's bullshitting me or not.
Right.
That is something that I have learned over the years as well. There was somebody who I was actually talking to, and they had some strange stuff going on in their own lives. And I'm interested. Generally, I am interested in hearing their experiences. At the same time, they have no idea that I am actually, I guess you could say, investigating without actually being there. Investigating as in learning what is going on with them, and just everything around them. Through proper questioning, you can learn a lot about a person in a short period of time, and sometimes that can backfire. People will give you answers, whether they want to or not, on accident, if you just go about it the right way. And there's somebody in here and on the YouTube chat who knows. They know exactly what how good I am at doing something like that.
Yeah. Residential cases are very tricky, very complicated.
Right.
Can be problematic, as you said, and I think it's interesting that if you feel that it's appropriate for the people there to lead the line of questioning and help drive the investigation, I think that's smart in some cases, for the sole reason that they're the ones that are going through it. They're the ones that may be getting contacted or trying to get some type of dialogue established anyway, not necessarily with you or the investigators, but with them. But that's not always going to be a smart idea, as you probably have learned.
Yeah, you definitely have to watch yourself. I mean, you're dealing with people who are relying on you,
Hmm.
and they expect you to have all the answers. When we really don't have all the answers, we can only maybe help them figure out to a certain point what's going on and why it's happening. But really, you're just trying to put minds at ease.
Hmm.
Sometimes you go into a case where there is no activity going on. They just want somebody to talk to.
Hmm.
Um, that happened. That has happened quite a bit with me and some other people. They want somebody to listen to them, listen to their problems, and that can go a long ways. Um,
Right.
you just don't treat people like they're at the doctor's office. When you get involved in their lives, um, you can have a tremendous impact, both positive and negative. And it's very important to be careful about how you investigate or how you ask questions and how you treat them.
Absolutely. To make them not feel crazy, they relate to them and alleviate some baseline fear, anxiety, and worries. Like, your children are safe. You're okay. It's okay to sleep in this house. It's okay to live in this house. There's no immediate dangers. No reason to fear the worst, as they like to do it. And so I think that's part of what that's the only thing we can really do for them. We can say, okay, based on all this stuff, you're going to be okay. It's going to be weird as fuck, but it's going to be weird. It's going to be okay.
Right. And so, even though you could tell them, look, nothing bad is going to happen to you, it could even be residual. It still scares them. They don't want nothing to do with it. You can always just say, hey, look, we'll go to a local church, have somebody come bless the house, or maybe I know somebody who's close by who can do it. If you could just make them even just feel better, you've done a lot.
Right. Now, I know there's a lot of dude, there's chat is nuts tonight. I'm going to say that for the most part. But if we don't get to your question, I want you to contact Joe, directly, either through Facebook, email. We'll plug all that at the end, and I'll allow you to ask him then. I want to kind of get to some of the stuff that he may be dealing with or experiencing, or want to communicate to you guys that may be something that's a little bit, fringy. I mean, I don't know quite what you want to talk about. So what is it, about Joe Vitale that maybe some people mostly don't know, or something that you want to express?
When you're a paranormal investigator and you have anxiety, there's a lot that there's a lot that happens and a lot that goes on. If I ever come across not very friendly, or if I ever come across depressed, it is because I do battle bad anxiety. And I do have a tendency to hurt people that I don't intend on hurting. It's not something that I don't try to hurt anybody on purpose. It's never my intention. But also, when you have bad anxiety and you go into locations, and some of these locations that, not just me, but others go into, there's some pretty dark stuff in these locations. And it's not that you bring something home with you, but when you're there, sometimes you get put in a very dark place. And it takes time to, even removed from the place, to get over those things. What we do, for the most part, is safe. But for people who may struggle with anxiety, for people who may struggle with other mental illnesses, it is hard. I hardly sleep. As a matter of fact, Matt Benton called me at 3 a.m. the other night, and I told him, I said, I swear to God, the paranormal's going to kill me. I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. I'm always trying to make people happy. I'm always trying to come through for people. Right now, I am trying to fix a friendship, and it takes a toll. Everything takes a toll. I don't talk about the personal and private investigations that I do, because that's what they are. The personal, the private. I get a lot of people who get upset with me when I don't get back to them quick enough. Nobody honestly realizes just how busy I am. When I went to Scarefest, I had told a friend of mine, Sandy, I'm like, my phone, be prepared. My phone's going to go off all day, messages left and right. And she was like, oh my Lord, because that's all my phone does. It goes off. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I love helping, but it's overwhelming, especially for somebody who does suffer from anxiety. It also doesn't help when people do figure out that you do have certain connections and certain people. A friend of mine, Sandy, she's really good friends with the boys from Wraith Chasers. I'm not good friends with them, but I'm friends with them. I know them. We hung out with them. People had seen, because I had posted some footage of it was more or less a private party off to the side of the big main party for Scarefest, and we were hanging out with a whole lot of people, from shows and stuff like that. I mean, we're friends with Santiago, who was in The Walking Dead, and as I said earlier, It makes me feel worthless when somebody decides to befriend me thinking that they were going to gain something out of me. I always say that I'm not significant in the field. I'm not that important in the field. I do what I do, and I love to do it, and I love meeting people. And I'm just out there like everybody else, just trying to have fun. But having anxiety can definitely take its toll. There have been times, and I'm not trying to do a poor me thing or anything like that, but there are times where it gets the best of me, and I wish I would just die. It's daunting. Every time I think I'm going to get a break from the paranormal and everything else, it's something new. People don't realize also my physical health. I have Crohn's disease. One of the medications I was taking is not working. I have to get injected with medication now. And right now it's just once a week. It could be twice a week. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep going with this, but I'm going to go until, I absolutely can't. I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I always have the best intentions. And I don't know if this person's watching or not. I know I hurt your feelings, and I am sorry about that. I'm only human. And if only you guys could if only you guys could be in my shoes and just understand. It is hard. It's not easy. It is what it is. I'm going to just keep going.
If I may interject on all this stuff you're saying. First off, you're not alone. Okay? Look at the camera, Joe.
Right. I know
You're not alone, buddy. All right? A lot of people suffering from anxiety, and I completely understand what you're saying. We go into these places, like you said, most of them are haunted by things for a reason. We open up, we connect, we try to take in because we have a huge heart. We try to connect. We try to understand the things that linger on, that have, a lot of baggage attached to it. And you're just asking for trouble to do that, but you're not doing it because you're a glutton for punishment. You're doing it because you want to understand why these things happen, why these hauntings occur, why these energies linger. Okay, so I'm dealing with the same thing, and there's so many people out there dealing with the same thing. And like you said, the health issues make it way worse. So hopefully the person, if they are watching, that they'll understand. My wife goes through a shit ton dealing with me doing all the stuff we're doing. I'm constantly tired, just like you, man. I'm constantly stressed. I'm very, very angry. I can snap off, over stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
And your warning, should be heeded. I don't look at it as a poor me. I think I look at what you're saying as a warning.
It is a warning.
So, you can tie this up by telling people what you do. I mean, do you try to do things to center yourself, to ground yourself, to protect yourself, what people should do?
I do keep certain objects on me that are blessed. I just recently, and it turned up out of nowhere, which is really odd because when I needed it, I couldn't find it. And then magically it shows up where I know I put it. I do keep this cross. This actually was given to me by the Beckers. They were the first people to have a house exorcism, I believe it was, on national TV. I do have a St. Michael's little medallia that I also keep on myself. And pray like crazy. And it's not just me who's going through certain things as well. There are others, I'm not going to name them right now, who are kind of dealing with similar stuff. And we come to find out that we all have something in common. I know Matt Benton, I'm going to throw his name out there, he's dealt with it too. So we're all kind of dealing with something it's the same thing, but it's working different against us. I've run into it before. It turned my life upside down, and here it is again. So I don't believe in coincidences. I believe me and certain people, we all met for a reason. We all found out that we had something in common, and it has been this a specific entity. I don't know if I'm crazy or not. Then again, if I'm crazy, so are they. But this has been the past couple of months have been very strange, to say the least. But it is a warning, and you know, I know I'm not alone, and I know there are people out there who suffer. And again, there's always somebody out there who you can talk to, who will listen.
That's right, man. We're here for you if you need us.
Yeah. I got friends in the chat, that I talk to. Pearlie's one of them. LT is one of them. Cat Angel's one of them. Sandy, my friend that I went to Scarefest with, she's another one. So I do have that, and it definitely helps. And you'd be surprised, just having support, even if it's just a small group of people. It helps. It helps a lot. So if any of you guys are going through any of that stuff, talk to somebody.
Absolutely. We're reaching the end, unfortunately. Missy,
Yes.
try your best to go through there. I know Carl had a question. Try your best to go through there very quickly and ask a few questions. We'll go over there to YouTube with Jess and see if there's any before we wrap this up.
Carl's question was, his father and his grandparents died in a house, and his teenagers don't want to go in the house. What should he do?
I'm not sure why they wouldn't want to go in there.
Well, they're afraid.
Honestly,
maybe they're afraid that they'll be in there hunting it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe so. But if it's their grandparents, unless they were mean when they were living, there should absolutely be no reason for them not to go in there. Try to take the fear away. Baby steps. Talk to them about it. Do something cool. Take, I don't know, a digital recorder, or use your phone, and maybe try some EVP sessions. Make it cool for them. Make it the paranormal does not have to be scary. Make it light. Make it fun, and that may help them want to be in the house. As Pearlie said, reassure them.
Right.
And most of everything else was just, they were kind words for Joe, and he's a good person, and we all love Joe, and it'll get better. 3 weeks ago, I was sitting in this chair shaking with fear because I did not want to do this show. And now I'm like, oh, cool, Joe's going to be on tonight.
Yeah, you just got to get your feet wet in some cases, just like he was explaining to them. You just got to get in there, have a little bit of courage,
Right.
have a support system there, whatever it's one person or 20 people, it don't matter.
Right.
You got to have somebody there always in your corner, kind of pushing you, helping you.
Right.
Jessica, anything on YouTube that we need to bring up? I know it's been rough tonight.
It has been, but I mean, a lot of them is basically directly towards Joe, and I think because they know that he's on YouTube as well right now. But a lot of hugs to Joe, just very supporting words and encouragement for him.
All right. Joe, I know you know this, buddy, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you that sometimes you just have to know when to take a break.
Right.
And you've probably been doing that periodically.
Yeah, break time is coming up.
So real quick, let's do some plugs. Let everybody know what you're working on, how they can follow your work. I know I have your Facebook and your YouTube channel and the cards and the links in the description, but steer people to your work.
All right, so of course I'm doing the whole Through the Eyes of a Paranormal thing that doesn't focus on me, that focus on other paranormal investigators. That's on my YouTube channel, Truth Paranormal. I'm still, as I said earlier, working on the Hells Bar Dam project. I do have future projects that will specifically involve female investigators in the field. That's going to be a documentary that I will start next year. I was hoping this year, just too busy. Oh, geez, what else? I am going to be in Ohio this weekend. I'm going to try to stop by Poasttown Elementary School, but I will be doing a TV taping for it's a production company through Canada, and it has something to do with Bigfoot. That's all I can say about it. It's all kind of super secret, but I can say that much. Next year is going to be wild. There's going to be a lot of events. It looks like people are going to have me to be speakers and do all kinds of other things. So next year is going to be different. There's a lot of other things going on next year that I honestly can't talk about. I know I'm missing a lot. I'm busy. Those are the things that just come off the top of my head. If anybody sends me a message on Facebook or anywhere else, guys, give me time. I get a lot of messages.
All right, you heard it. You heard it from Joe. Thanks very much for coming on the show, man. It's was nice to sit down and talk to you. I know I've talked to you here and there on friends' channels and on the phone, and I look forward to getting to know you more, meeting up with you, working together, and just help strengthening the para community together.
Yeah, it was awesome to be on, and I appreciate it. I really do.
Alrighty, you can. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show. If you want to hang out on the call for a little bit, you may. We always have a little after party show going on in the Google Hangouts, so stand by for me. All right, guys. Joe's YouTube channel is in the description in the cards. Subscribe. Click the notification bell. Wait for those uploads coming. There is some pretty interesting things on his channel. A lot of stuff coming out about Hell's Bar Dam. So you'll want to, if you're interested in that, you want to see that come out. Check him out on Facebook. His Facebook page is there. And send him a friend request. He'll probably accept you if you look worthy. I don't know how he does that. How he manages that.
Between 50 to 80 friends requests a day.
50 to 80. So. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. All right. All right. You guys can check out Joe's stuff in the car's description, like I said. Thanks for joining me tonight. If you want to know more about Interface Death and the Necromancer live show, we will look at the social media links here. If you want to support not only what we do for the paranormal community on Necromancer, on our live streams, our video productions, and our scientific research, Patreon. Okay, I don't make any money off YouTube. They demonetize me. I'm not big enough, so I rely on Patreon. And I'll tell you what, if it hasn't been for Patreon, I wouldn't be doing this. And I'm getting a huge support. So if you like what you see and you want to see it continue, grow, get better, check out Patreon.com. It's $1 a month would be supportive. Check out the Necromancer Show on Facebook. Check us out at Interface Death on Twitter and Instagram. Okay, all these names are people who pledge and support our paranormal work and all this content you see each and every week. Christy Brown, Clay Borman, Matthew Jackson, Matt Benton, Bill Davis, Gwendolyn Guthrie, Landon Wells, Jessica Bias, R.J. Murphy, Liz Coy, Danette Goldtrip, and Scotty Fox. Okay, some of these people has been supporting for a long time. Some of them are new. Let you be the newest member to our para family and our community. Okay, not only on these live streams do you get shouted out, but you're in the credits to our video productions. You're everywhere. Your name's on everything. And without these people's support, we would simply not exist. So with that being said, please check us out, interfacedeath.net. Please subscribe to the mailing list. Keep updated with all the stuff we got going on. We are super busy. We're doing the Ghost Walk in Chillicothe, Ohio this weekend. It's Saturday. If you're in the area, check that out. Go to the Interface Death Facebook page and get the link to buy tickets for that. We'll have a booth. And then we have the world's largest ghost hunt the following weekend. And we're just super busy. We're going to keep on trucking. October's coming up, and that's going to be insane as well. You guys have a good night. You are in my heart. I love you all. Stick around for some video promotions. If you have not seen this show before, there's some pretty exciting things that we're doing on the video production end. And until next time, I will see you in the next one.
What was that?
I don't know. I feel like I can't breathe in this room.
Generally, Justin, when you guys investigate, do you just take long pauses and wait to see if you hear things and observe everything that's going on?
It depends on the location and our experience with the location. So in this case, at Waverly Hills, since we've been here before, we've heard a lot of stories, done a lot of research, and investigated. We typically like to listen a lot because we hear the coughing, we heard it last time, so we can hear it again.